to approach after having time off training. Man, I can't believe I have to do a podcast on this, but I'm seeing many people already injuring themselves because things are slowly getting back to normal, and I'm here to give you a warning that you cannot get back to your normal routine if you've had time off. Now, what I mean by that is the problem is most of you should have been active over this time. I'm hoping most of you guys have been active. Now, training is going to come down to anything you do. So whether it's running, whether it's doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm talking to a lot of my friends out here who do train Jiu-Jitsu, you need to pay attention to this. MMA, weight training, whatever do you do, it doesn't matter. The important fact is you guys need to slowly build yourself back into it, because you're going to start seeing, oh shit, I wasn't exactly what I thought would. The problem with a lot of people when they have time off training is they think they can go straight back to exactly how they trained. An example of this, let's go. I'm going to give two examples. I'm going to try and cross-reference this a lot to Jiu-Jitsu, because this was primarily based for Jiu-Jitsu, but then I thought, well, why am I closing off? Because it's the application of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is how you get back into a full training cycle is exactly the same how you do for anything else. So what happens? So what we tend to see, two examples here. Number one, maybe you're just lifting weights, you like to stay in shape, and then what you do, the gym opens up again and you start smashing yourself like you normally do, and then you suddenly realize, A, you go, oh, I'm so sore I can barely walk for the next 5 days, or B, you end up having an injury. Now, that tells me there's a lack of education on moving back into it. You want to gradually build yourself into it. Now, let's use Jiu-Jitsu for a second. You haven't trained, let's say, so some circumstances, a lot of people haven't trained because to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you need certain mat equipment. One of them is having mats and training partners. Now, some people don't have that. So what we're seeing is people are going to go back to where they were training regularly, and then they're starting to realize that their cardiovascular system is not up to scratch that it was when before this situation happened. And more likelihood for injuries as well. So bringing back to what I meant to be saying, none of you, anyone who's listening to this should never be doing nothing. I don't care if we went to another full lockdown. It's not a good enough excuse for you guys to not do anything. And definitely for far as the movement component, for sure, absolutely. If you've got a flaw, you can do something, right? But with Jiu-Jitsu as well, it's like, okay, if you can't do that, what are positions that you can put yourself into? What are certain, I guess you could research, study. I think studying has been a massive help for Jiu-Jitsu as well. But there's a million things why we can do active. But what I suggest here is to, let's say next week, everything goes back to normal. Okay, so let's say everything goes back to normal. You want to be carefully remembering that, again, you're not where you were before unless you've been continuing to be active. I don't recommend going to the gym every single day, that's for sure. I would definitely, let's go weight training. So weight training, you're going to be looking at doing full body workouts, and these are, again, depends on what you do. Literally week one is to move the body. So if you were benching, if you were benching 80 kilos, 100 kilos, let's say 100 kilos is an easy number to work off. Don't do a 100 kilo bench. Don't do that. Move 60 kilos, move 70 kilos. Again, it doesn't matter how much weight you move, because if you're worrying about that, you're basically telling me you worry about what other people think of you benching 60 kilos. That's the problem that we have in traditional gyms, is you don't. In Jiu-Jitsu, you can't fake that shit. You can't fake that I'm a black belt and you go on the mats, and then you can't fake that shit. So there's a level of like, I don't know if this is even a word, but humility. Like, it humbles you to understand, no, this is where you're at. And what I'm trying to get across is understand where you're at. If you haven't moved weights for long periods of time, maybe over the last couple of weeks, humble yourself and understand the week one that you go back into, the transition phase, is to just move weight. Don't go where you were before. Like, it is so exhausting trying to work with people that have injured themselves because they've gone from point A to point B and they've had X amount of time off, and they've gone, oh, okay, I thought I was as fit as I have been, and end up hurting themselves. Or usually you don't see you'll see injuries, but the most common one you'll probably see is, oh my God, like, I can't touch my chest for like 5 days. It was horrible. Why would you put yourself through that? So I definitely think week one's just to move it. You know what I mean? I just start to build the habits again. You know what I mean? Now let's transition to jiu-jitsu. Don't train every single fucking class week one unless you've been active, unless you have look, there's two arguments to it, to be honest. My argument is basically you need to have enough self-awareness and knowing that you can't train hard every day. And that means sparring as well. So some days you need to have alternatives to your sparring sessions, especially because most classes or training sessions with jiu-jitsu will end up with sparring. You need to be very specific, and you need to be communicating to your teammates or the people that you train with, going, hey man, I'm pretty sore. Can we just keep it light? It is your responsibility, it's not the coaches. It is your responsibility to take control of that. So, and like, if anyone who doesn't do jiu-jitsu, the amount of injuries that come past me and through my business is astonishing. That the fact that I feel like most of these injuries could have been avoided. You have your freak accidents, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you'll never get injured and all that kind of stuff. You do have your accidents from time to time again. But I mean, overall, if your body's functioning and you've got full range of movement and you've been progressively overloading your training with a good set sort of program, you know, ranging from 4 to 12 week period increments, you should be pretty good. You know, you should be at a high level. Obviously, then you're training, working on your energy systems and all that kind of stuff. But that's going on another topic for a later episode. So, you know, coming into, you know, your weight training or just coming into the gym, you know, it's really important for you guys to ease yourself back into it. And I think having time off has been the best thing for a lot of people, because what people need to understand, this is something that I try and teach, is you have to make this become a lifestyle thing rather than a challenge again. Like, I'm gonna talk shit here, but I see a lot of people doing push-up challenges and all that kind of shit. Push-up challenges to raise mental health and all that, respect. But unfortunately, that's not fucking doing shit, guys. It's not doing anything. What's gonna actually help it is actually raising money to that organization that you believe in, that's trying to help educating people about mental health. That's what's gonna help. And having challenges in the gym is great, but guess what? Unfortunately, what happens to a challenge? It ends at some point. And the problem is then you don't have the right habits and routines to continue to train 365 days of the year. I have not had one day off of training in the last probably 3 days. 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. Yeah, great. 3 years of training. I've barely had any, I don't think I've had any days off. Now, then you go, well, is that some sort of discipline? No, it's not. It is not discipline. The difference is I've incorporated into my lifestyle, and I know my body. I listen to my body. When I'm body sore, what I need, what do you think we do? Do something that's going to make it feel better. Now, if you're incredibly sore, and don't get me wrong, like there's times to have days off, but I think it needs to be not called that anymore. I think it needs to be called active days off. Unless you're completely injured, or been advised from your doctor otherwise, but most doctors these days, I question they're there for education on some things as well. But unless you have a legitimate reason why you cannot be moving at all, you should be doing something every single day. Now, what does that mean? That means benefiting yourself. So whether that's going for a walk, whether that's stretching, whether go for a hike, like whatever it is, that you feel like is going to positively influence your body, and there's always something to be done. You know, it's like working for yourself, right? There's never anything not like, there's always something to be done, and the day that you feel like there's nothing to do, you've essentially lost. And what I'm trying to get a point is basically it's the same concept. The day that you feel like you need a rest day is, and depending on your goals, I'm going more jiu-jitsu. If you wanted to go on to a high level competition, there should be no reason why you should be having days off. Now, but it depends on the objective, right? It depends on the objective. If you're just trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle, cool. But guess what? It's no difference. There's no difference. Let's say you train Monday to Friday, and in the weekends you do nothing. You drink, you party on the weekend, hang with your friends, whatever you do. You pretty much just fucked all the training you've done on the Monday to Friday, right? Be active. Go for walks. Get up early. I keep telling people to get up early to start your day off right. Movement is required in the morning. Movement's required to make you loosen up, because all the fascia starts to build up, the tightness through your sleep. That's why, we could go into another conversation about having the right mattress. You know, your sore back is usually because of a number of reasons, but one of them is you spend a fourth of your life sleeping, and if you don't have a really good mattress that supports your back, well, you imagine how many, fourth of your life, you times that by how many hours of incorrect mattress for yourself, and you imagine, no wonder why your back's breaking down in your 30s. You should not have back issues in your 30s, kids. Like, it is really concerning me. And and this is kind of ranty, but it's not. It's very informative, but I forgot what I was going to say, actually. No, I forgot what I was going to say. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so what I'm trying to get at here is, guys, just build yourself into it. Start incorporating into a lifestyle. Like, it's just small things like eating well. Eating well is going to have less information in your body, therefore there's less likelihood to get injury. It's so interesting when I get injuries, and if I look back, usually it's been a result from not sleeping enough. I've been stressed. I've been eating a crappy diet, like everything. They all compound, and I think we sometimes tend to forget that this is you only have one body. And I know it sounds very cliche, but I really believe it's something we're not really taking seriously enough. Especially this whole again, I don't give a crap about this pandemic thing. I'm still thriving regardless of the situation, but it's made people realize to start valuing their health a lot more. And it's, this is why I struggle living in Western countries, because, where was the last bit of information on the news that would telling you natural ways to boost your immunity? Whether, example A, reduce your cortisol level, which is the stress hormone in your body. Why is there no one educating people how to reduce stress? Why is no one teaching how to encourage people to do cold showers, meditate, read? You don't see any of this in you. Learning to eat correctly. They'll tell you to eat correctly, but they'll give you some fucking bullshit diet that's in fashion. It's not. Diets are short term. Remember, kids, diets are short term to get a short term result. If it's MMA, there needs to be a restriction in calories, right? If you're getting married in 2 weeks, let's say 2 months, and you want to look the best you can in 2 months, there needs to be some sort of diet implemented in. Or like anything, maybe it's a holiday, like it doesn't matter. If you have a short-term goal and you need to get, maybe is it fitness, whether it's weight, it doesn't matter what the goal is. If it's short-term, then we would implement a diet. However, if you don't have that, then you need to start looking at a lifestyle way of eating, because again, diets end. They end like challenges. Guess what? 25-day challenge or something like that. Guess what? What after 25 days? You still doing your push-ups, guys, girls? No, of course you're not. And this is very practical advice, and I'm trying to stay off more ranty. I think I tend to rant a little bit, but I'm trying to give it as much information depth as I can in the time that I've been talking. But there's just, it's a game, essentially. I feel like it's a constant game, but I feel like too is like my experience right now. It's like I eat the same foods. Everything's whole food. That's the thing I would recommend. Everything's whole food. I don't cook curries. I love curries. I used to eat a lot of Asian food, but unless I'm living in the country, I don't really eat that. It's just usually sweet potato, rice, chicken, meat, eggs, good quality bread from the bakery. Bread's fine. It depends on how you buy it, right? If you buy bread from Woolworths and stuff like that, guess what? Like, it's gonna be shit bread. You need to be buying off a good local bakery. Ideally not franchised as well if you can. Support the actual smaller businesses, like those small little bakeries that you see around Melbourne, Australia. If anyone's listening here, this podcast is based in Melbourne, Australia. Eating the same consistent foods. It's like I don't know why are people complicating this? Now I know I'm obviously going more down the topic of just ranting about food, but it's like when I'm gonna word this correctly without sounding like a dick. When you realize that your training and your eating is actually one of the easiest things you can do when you have structure, you realize how much time you've been wasting on thinking about it and not doing the correct measures. You just need some structure. You need a little bit of discipline. You need a very good social group. I think too, getting back into the gym, look at your social group. Like, if you're trying to lose weight, let's do the two examples again. You're trying to lose weight. You're trying to lose 10 kilos. Let's say it's June now. You're trying to lose 10 kilos by December. Super easy, attainable goal if you have the 10 kilos to lose. You want to make sure you're hanging out with the right people that value their health. Because if you don't hang out with people that don't value their health, and you're trying to lose 10 kilos and they're not, and they have poor eating habits and poor unhealthy habits, you can still lose 10 kilos, but it is going to be a lot harder. And this is where you see people go, examples like, I ate pizza and I felt bad, my friends ordered, but it was just there, like friends, social group, you hang out with the wrong people. But again, that's probably more of a lifestyle thing for sure. Going into a sporting environment. So let's say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and let's say you want to be a world champion or a very high level competitor. Then you want to make sure your training partners are on the same path as you. They want to become one of the best, or like a high level people, and they have very good disciplines and good habits to make sure they are still doing that. Very simple stuff, it's just, again, can be done, but if you're not hanging with the right people, and hanging out with the right people doesn't necessarily mean actual face-to-face. It can be online. It could be the people that you listen to online. You know what I mean? could be, if you're listening to the news online, that's your social group, that's your influence. You're influencing from the people that you spend and listen to the most amount of time of. So I definitely would say really consider going back into training. Consider who you're associating yourself with. Not saying they're bad people, but again, why are you trying to make life harder for yourself? Is what I'm trying to get at. Why is everyone complicated? This whole, the fitness industry is probably one of the biggest industries in the world. Let's say health industry. And yet it's so much fucking bullshit on there. It is so much crap. And it's been so complicated. It's been made to be so complicated, and yet it's one of the most simplest things if there was correct education, and especially in our schooling systems, which we don't have. So therefore, it is in your discretion to source it out yourself. Now, whether you learn that from online, or whether you learn that from someone who works in that field, like myself. Okay, so coach, mentor, whatever you want to call, right? All my knowledge from working in the fitness industry has been from mentors. It hasn't, and books, of course. I've never gone to university and studied this shit. All the information is out there. All the information you can learn from someone else. If you can't learn from them, you can buy courses and stuff. The information era has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. And basically what I mean by that is you have the access to learn anything that you want without going to a university, with some exemptions, of course. I'm not going to give examples because I don't need to. But I'm saying most of your learning can come from online. So I feel like when I'm learning, I feel better about myself. So therefore, like I wanna train more jiu-jitsu. You know, I've been probably over the last since I got back from overseas. March? Got back 14th. I've been continually training. Like I'm continually training with my jiu-jitsu, continually working on new concepts, new things, completely almost self-teaching myself. And of course, I have some really good training partners as well, and I'm lucky to have some mats. But that's the thing. It's just like you never stop learning. You never stop. I just don't understand the fact that I have to do a episode on this to tell you guys what you need to do to approach after having time off training. And I just feel like training never stops. It's a lifestyle, you know. And you know what? My environment hasn't been ideal. My gym environment, like I rather have a gym. I rather have another MMA gym where I can come to and train and meet other people. I much prefer that, but I'm only limited to what I have available, and I just try and work with. That's basically what I mean is deal with the cards you've been dealt with. Sometimes you're going to be traveling, and you're not going to have a gym, but doesn't mean you can't stretch. That doesn't mean you can't keep hydrated. That doesn't mean you can't eat good food. Like, I think people are really not interpreting how easy staying in good shape actually really is. And unfortunately, it's taken to a pandemic to make people realize that, I really need to start taking this shit seriously. Because for anyone who's usually at risk has been people who haven't. Now, again, I don't know the full information about this, and this is why I don't work in politics, but there's been a lot of people that may have gotten extremely sick or passed away, and I'm not saying this to put down anyone, but if you should have sort of prioritized your health a little bit more 10 years ago, and you wouldn't be in this position that you are now. Now, that's going off example, but we can bring it back to even jiu-jitsu. It's like, if you feel like your knee is giving you issues, you need to start addressing this now. Like, it's like, I hear it all the time. It's like, it's literally retarded. It's like, oh, my knee's getting bad, but I'm like, what have you done? people's necks. Necks is really common in Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, your neck, like, I haven't done anything for it. And like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, do you understand this? You're not a robot. You can't just magically repair yourself. It doesn't work like that. It's pretty straightforward, right? Just take initiative on your own health. If you could, let's bring it back to the gym circumstances. If you are feeling that you got tight hips, if you are feeling you got tight quads, hamstrings, lower back issues, shoulder issues, trap, like whatever the common normality is, take initiative and start doing your own due diligence. And due diligence can be obviously online, asking other people or ask people who work in that field. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I have a knee issue, I'm probably going to see a personal trainer or a physiotherapist that works in that field, because you have personal trainers that work with knee issues as well. Okay, myself, I love that stuff. I love injuries. I love. It's like a puzzle. It's a crossword, and that's where my passion comes from. I feel like a lot of it with the body. It's a cross. It is a cross. It's a puzzle. You're trying to figure out why. Like for me, let's say, your example, your knees giving you issues. Why did that happen in the first place? Like, what caused that? Was it a random accident? Then I go, the random accident, I have to even delve even further. Was it through bad incorrect movement patterns for that free accident to happen, then to the injury to happen? Because that's where a lot of people, it was free accident, there's nothing I could have done about it. I'm like, yeah, but then which is true. Whoop. Drop the camera there. Which is definitely true, but then I see how you move, and I'm like, oh, shit. I'm surprised your knee hasn't blown out earlier. That's an extreme example, but the message I'm trying to give here is take initiative on your health and start prioritizing, because until you go through emotional pain, which unfortunately adults only learn through emotional pain, is usually the time when you start taking initiative for your health. So this conversation probably go way off topic, but still has its points that I wanted to point out today. Trying to think if I have anything else I want to speak my mind today, just about, getting back to training, maybe stuff to consider. Yeah, guys, just keep moving. Like, I just don't understand the concept of not having a rest day. That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe look, I don't know. Maybe it's work ethic. Maybe it's discipline. I don't know what exactly it is. But what I mean to you, I haven't had a day off in over 3 years. I've always done something. I've always moved. Even when I had my wisdom teeth taken out, I don't know why I reacted really, my body didn't really like that, but yet I still did stuff. I went for walks. They told me to rest, which I did. I actively rest, stretched. I did stuff. I moved around. I did what I could do, but I listened to my body. And even if yeah. I don't know where I was going to go with that one. But anyway, look, I hope this helps, guys. I'm going for nearly 30 minutes now. New video format. So for guys who are not watching the video, this is going to be on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel starting up now. I'm getting new equipment. So we're going to have new cameras and microphones. We're going to have the whole thing set up. And then we're going to be very consistent content from now on. If you have any questions, please let me know. Give me a DM or comment in the comment section below. You can like and subscribe. Most importantly, like and subscribe. I think it's Team LV. I need to make sure I get that right. I'll put it in the description box. I've already got one episode up there. Episode 32 with Tyler Brooks. We'll talk about nutrition. So this is kind of a runoff from that. But yeah, thanks for joining. Looking forward to seeing you all. And we'll see you again soon. Take care. I'll see you on what is it? Episode 34. We'll see you on episode 34. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode on 34.